Welcome back to more Klonoa Beach Volleyball. Last time, we went through the training mode, so this time, we're ready for the championship mode. So there are two control types to pick from. In normal mode, each player has a separate controller, but in Friends mode, two players share a controller, like in the illustration. This mode is only playable using a DualShock because you need the analog control sticks, but in normal mode, you can either use an original PS1 controller or a DualShock. For this playthrough, we'll be sticking with normal mode, and this will be a one-player playthrough. As a result, we actually have to play both characters. In Championship mode, there is no option to play with an AI. Here's our roster of characters, which actually draws inspiration from basically every mainline Klonoa game. So we have different character types like power, balance, speed, technique, super, and we also have different stats for every character that we can view with the select button. For this playthrough, we'll be sticking with Klonoa and Lolo from Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil. I'll be playing against level 1 computers because I've actually tried the other difficulties, and this game actually gets surprisingly difficult.
Okay, let's go. Here I am. Let's go.
So our first match is against Lolo and Tat from Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil. This is a very interesting game because it does draw so much inspiration from a bunch of different games, including one that actually hadn't released at this time, which is the second GBA game. Basically, Klonoa can kind of be divided into several different, sub-series, almost. So you have, the first game on PS1, the second game on, PS2, and then there are a ton of handheld games. There are also, in many cases, side-scrollers, but play a little bit differently. So the, Wonder Swan and Game Boy Advance games are more like puzzle platformers instead of 2.5D, more straightforward platformers. But they're also pretty interesting games from what I've played. In general, I do like the Klonoa series a lot. Oh wow, I was not expecting that to happen. This is level 1 AI, so I definitely wasn't expecting to struggle quite this early, but even then, I feel like the difference between level 1 AI and level 2 AI is actually pretty vast. So here are our stats for our first match, and there is an MVP declared, which in this case is Klonoa.
Okay, let's go. I'm gonna win.
Next up, we have Leorina from Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil, and Heartmoo. Moos are like regular enemies in the series, but this specific one seems to actually be original to this game. I really like the song. If I'm not mistaken, this is either the very first level theme in Klonoa or very early. Yeah, Klonoa as a franchise is really interesting because of how many games were released on different platforms and how many games were not even released internationally. And even this game was released in Europe, but not in North America. Also, by the way, this is a good time to mention on the subject of this being a European release, that if this playthrough doesn't look the best, it may be because this is actually running at 50 FPS instead of 60, because this is the European version of the game. There is the Japanese version that would run a little bit smoother. Actually, technically, this is more like 25 FPS because I think it's like half refresh. So yeah, it's more like 25 FPS instead of like 30 FPS like the Japanese version. But then again, the downside of that is not being able to like understand the tutorials. So that's why I picked this version. Compared to some games where the PAL version is considerably slower, like, I know a lot of, like, older Sonic games had problems of them actually running legitimately slower because they weren't adjusted for the different frame rate. This game seems to run about the same speed as the Japanese release, despite the difference in frame rate. I'm not even having to really use supers at all because this is level 1 AI. So we're actually doing fine just using regular attacks. But yeah, I tried level 2 AI difficulty, and I actually struggled quite a bit. So unfortunately, I feel like there isn't really a good middle ground. Like, I almost feel like there should have been a difficulty between level 1 and level 2, because level 1 honestly feels a little bit too easy. But then again, level 2 is kind of ridiculous, and I frankly haven't even attempted level 3. Alright, so far so good though. We actually have a full panel lit up, so we could score 9 points if we actually use the super. I'm actually intentionally waiting until our last chance to see how high our score I can get. Then again, we might just score on this next serve with how the AI's been playing. So yeah, we may not get a chance even... There we go, we actually will get a chance to use our super. Alright, so this time, I'm guessing Klonoa will still be the MVP since we mostly won through serves.
Okay. Let's go.
Gonna do my best. Be nice to me.
Our next opponents are Chipple from Klonoa Empire of Dreams for the GBA, and Joka from Dora the Phantom Isle. So yeah, it is interesting having like a combination of the GBA characters and the like console Klonoa characters. No characters from the WonderSwan game as far as I'm aware. Yeah, Klonoa is a very fascinating series, and I'm actually really glad it's getting a third chance. The Phantom Reverie series compilation, which at the time of when this video is being released, is releasing very soon, is actually the second attempt at bringing back this franchise. The first attempt was in 2008, I want to say, with the remake of Klonoa for the Wii, but that version didn't do well. And then plans to remake Lunatea's Veil and also potentially continue the series were scrapped because of the Wii version's like poor sales, if I'm not mistaken. That was my introduction to the series. I found the Wii version, I want to say it was like an impulse buy, like I saw it at a GameStop and thought it looked cool, so I just bought it without a whole lot of like reasoning other than it looks cool. And then I ended up really enjoying it a lot. I never got to play Lunatea's Veil though, and now the game is actually exceedingly expensive, so that's one reason why I'm actually really happy that it's getting a remaster. Also, by the way, I should clarify that the remasters are actually releasing first on Switch in July, and then later on other platforms, to my knowledge. And I hope this remaster does better than the Wii remaster, at least. Being on more platforms definitely help, I think. Like PC and like PS4, Xbox. I think even Xbox is getting it. So yeah, I hope Klonoa Phantom Reverie series actually does well. I would like to see the series get a little bit more love. And yeah, I've never even played Lunatea's Veil, so I'm excited for that. I've actually recently started Empire of Dreams. Actually, not recently. I started it a long time ago, and I'm still working on it. I'm taking my time with it. But yeah, that's more of a puzzle platformer, so it has a very different, like, structure. And I'm guessing once again, Klonoa will be the MVP. Not a big surprise there. I am Garland, the one who's hosting this tournament. I've watched you play, but think there's people better than you. Let me introduce Gunts. This is so boring. I've nothing against you, but work is work. If we beat you, we will be the best in the world. The Garland Group will have the world's sport and resorts at its feet.
Okay. Let's go.
Let's get going. Winner!
So for the finals, we are facing off against Garland and Gunts from Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament for the GBA, which, again, hadn't actually released when this game was out. If I'm not mistaken, that game actually was released like in 2002 in Japan, but not... it wouldn't be released in Europe at all, and then would not release in North America until 2005. So yeah, the Klonoa series has definitely had a rough time, I'd say. That might be an understatement, actually. It's actually gotten a lot of love in, like, spin-off material. I'm pretty sure, like, there was a very popular, like, comic series for Klonoa for a while, but it was abruptly cancelled, unfortunately. There was also a plan for an animated movie that fell through. So yeah, there have been a lot of attempts to bring this franchise back in different forms, and none of them have ever really stuck. So I'm hoping that, yeah, the Phantom Reverie series collection will actually help to bring the series back in a big way. To be fair, I was also hoping the same for Katamari Damacy Reroll, and we haven't heard a whole lot about Katamari series since, so yeah, I'm not exactly holding out too much hope, but it would be nice to see the series actually get a chance to shine here. What else? There was also an RPG. At the time of this recording, Klonoa Heroes, as it's called, actually recently just got a fan translation. Which is honestly really impressive, I find, that, you know, after so many years that this game would actually get a fan translation. I haven't tried it yet, so I can't speak for the fan translation's quality, but I hope it's good. But yeah, I might actually try that out at some point. I still need to actually finish Empire of Dreams and eventually try Dream Champ Tournament as well. Maybe even try the Wonder Swan game if possible. Who knows? Alright, so far so good. We're not quite in score range, though. I do feel like level 1 AI is remarkably easy, and then, yeah, level 2 AI was actually giving me a lot of trouble, so it doesn't feel like there's a great amount of, like, middle ground, almost, with the AI. Like, you either have the AI be really aggressive or, like, really passive like this, and there's not, yeah, a lot of in-between, which kind of sucks. Yeah, like, that definitely was kind of like a free point there, not a whole lot of resistance. Alright, either way, we're almost to the end of the finals. I do like the little enemies with snorkels in the background, I just noticed, actually. you know, I'm not the biggest like sports game player, but I do like a lot of like spin-off type games like this, and even though this is an extremely obscure spin-off, it is cool to actually play this for a bit. Well, I guess we might as well use our super since they actually received that. Alright, so another fairly easy victory. But we were actually not quite done yet, even though that was the finals. But I think I'll actually save that for next time. So thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for more Klonoa Beach Volleyball.